Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online video with me, Sherman. Today we're going to be taking a look at the the Magic of Sorc solo build, the Stormbringer. So I just call it that because it sounds cool, but yeah, it's a Magic of Sorc solo build, and you can make it a stamina version just as easily, just changing some things around. But it works out really good, and it's a pretty dang good build. So that's all I have to say about that. So first off, before I go any further, this is a solo build. It is not meant for, like, it can be used in group play, I'm not going to lie. Like, if you want to tank with it, you can. But just make sure that you're doing it on, like, normal or vet dungeons with people you know. Like, on vet, make sure you're doing it with people you know. On normal, you can tank with it pretty much anytime. People won't mind because they just want to clear it most of the time, and this will help you clear it faster. Other than that, I mean, it's just really good for soloing delves, dolmens, public dungeons, some, if not most, normal dungeons, and then a few vet dungeons. Now, I've been asked to do these work in places like Craglorn, you know, Skyreach, Craglorn dolmens, Craglorn delves, that kind of thing, or not dolmens, but delves. The Mage's Spire places. Yes, it does. Okay, it's not like it doesn't work. It works. It's just if you don't know the content really well, it can be really tough with any build on some of those things. And so it's just a matter of mastering the build. Once you master the build, like a lot of more things become super easy and viable. So let's get into the build itself. As you can see, 31k Magicka, 25k health, 12k stamina. We are rocking a 1392 magic recovery, which is really good. 2,305 spell damage with a 39% crit. 20k spell resist, 19k physical resist. We are running the Lady Munda Stone for the increased resistances. Major Prophecy for Inner Light, or from Inner Light on both bars. And Witch Mother's Brew with max health, max Magicka, and magic recovery. Now, you guys are going to notice that the gear on this is very similar to that of what I was running on the DK, and that is we are running a 5-piece Julianus with it, and we are running the 3-piece Willpower. The only thing that's different between this and that is the monster sets, and we are running a Stormfist monster set. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, why not like Illumbras or one of those others? After testing with all the different monster sets that would be viable, Stormfist shows the most potential with this particular build. Now, Illumbras works really good, Zons works really good, Grothdor works good, but it's because being a solo player or doing a lot of solo stuff for a long time, the one thing I learned is that it's not about just maximizing your damage potential. It's about utilizing sets that are going to give you the greatest advantage. And when you play solo, you want to be tanky, you want to have damage, and you want to have, like, self-reliance. You're very self-reliant. You're very selfish, I'll put it that way. So utilizing sets that give you the greater benefit usually work out to be better. So, but Stormfist does work the best. So medium helm, light belt. The belt is Nirnhoned. The helm is infused. We are running 5 heavy. And the 5 heavy pieces are, you know, the chest, the legs, the belt, everything, but the helm and belt. And somebody asked me why I didn't go with a medium gauntlets. It doesn't change the resistance value by much, guys. It really doesn't. So, looking over this over here, we do have reinforced shoulders with reinforced boots, Nirnhoned belt with Nirnhoned gauntlets. You can go reinforced here until you can get Nirnhoned, so don't stress it. And on the 3 bigger pieces, we are running tri-stat glyphs. This is just to kind of fill out our health a little bit more, fill out our magic a little bit more, and our stamina, to kind of give us a mix of stats so we can utilize those stats for other things. Down here, we are running willpower, and on the willpower we are running 2 spell damage with 1 magic recovery. Now on the smaller pieces here, just so you guys can see, they are health, so it just kind of compensates. And having a 31k magic on this build really helps. We are a high elf for that reason. So going on over here, we are running a Asylum staff. You can run an imperfect Asylum staff. That's what this is. This is not a perfect one. This is just a basic Asylum staff. You can also run a Master staff. And like I said about my other solo builds, these builds are the only ones that use the Asylum and Master Maelstrom type stuff. Moving on to the bottom staff. So, this is infused with Crusher. This is infused with weapon damage. And I'll show you why. They're both lightning staves, by the way. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about a few things before I get too far into this. People ask me why I've been releasing solo builds. A lot of people solo play, and a lot of people have been asking for this for a long time, but I've been putting it off, putting off. And the reason why was because I wanted to make sure what I was releasing was going to be something really viable. So that's why I waited so long. And I want to make sure the CP was right. Now, these builds are for max CP players who've been playing the game for a long time, want something that they can play. You can get away without being max CP, but you just have to put the CP and allocate it a certain way and go through the process. Now, onto the skills. So, passives, just get them all, just unlock them all. And there is some skills I have here unlocked if you want to use them. Like Restraining Prism is really good if you're in a dungeon with a group for locking down enemies and holding them in place. And then Dark Conversion is really good to convert stamina to magic if you're having magicka issues. But make sure you fill out all the passives, the class passives. A lot of them are really good. So, onto the weapons, Destruction Staff. Make sure you get all the Destruction Staff passives. And then on armor, because of the way this build's set up, it is a 5-1-1 setup. You want the 3 top ones to the light armor, the top 2 medium, and the bottom one. And then on the heavy armor, all of it. We're going to skip the world skills now. You can make this a vampire, but I'm going to tell you this. Be careful where you play it. Because with the increased fire damage, you can die a lot quicker. Now, I do run Banish the Wicked from the Fighters Guild just for the ultimate gen, especially in, like, Craglorn. You really want this because you'll be able to fire ultimates off like crazy there, because most of the enemies are werewolves, undead, so you can generate quite a bit of ultimate in some of those places more than you can others. Mages Guild, fill out all of it because you are running a, Inner Light. You can run Shooting Star if you want on the back bar or something. It's up to you. And Degeneration is also a great magicka or major sorcery buff, but we're not using that for this one. Onto the Undaunted. Fill in the 2 Undaunted passives here. And you can unlock Inner Rage if you want a tank. You don't really need it if you don't want to. But make sure you get your Undaunted passive. Start this build as a DPS if you want. Get through the Undaunted stuff. Get your Undaunted passives. And you can play it still. Alliance War, you really don't need anything unless you're going to be a tank. And you need Aggressive Warhorn for tanking. And that's only in, like, vet stuff. Normal stuff, you don't really need Warhorn. In racials, make sure you fill out all the racial passes. For being this build, though, I suggest being a high elf because of this spell charge. You want that magic recovery. They also get 10% max magicka, and they get 4% increased shock damage. So that is kind of a benefit to being a high elf. But you can be whatever race you want. You don't have to play this build to a specific degree. This is just the best, like, outcome or best version you can come up with. When it comes to alchemy, medicinal use is really good. Provisioning, just get Gourmet and Carnosaur. You are using 2-hour food. This isn't really necessary, but alrighty, so that's the skills. Let's go ahead and take a look. Champion points, very similar to the DK build when it comes to champion points. We do have 37 in Ironclad. This reduces damage taken from direct damage attacks by 15%. We have 37 in Thick Skin, reducing damage over time by 15%. 43 in a Hardy, 43 in Elemental Defender, both doing 10%. We have 16 in Expert Defender, 56 in the Bastion. This is to make our damage shields just that much better. And then 16 in Expert Defender, reducing light and heavy attacks by 10%. I need to go over Hardy and Elemental Expert. Both of these basically reduce all damage you take by 10%. So, and they do stack with a lot of these other things. 8 into Quick Recovery, even though you don't really need it. You can put this in a Heavy Armor focus to give you a little bit more resistances. Moving on, we have 23 into Warlord. This reduces our block, our cost to break free. 16 into Bashing focus, reducing our bashing cost by 10%. As a solo player, you get used to bashing, blocking, dodge rolling, all that kind of stuff. It makes you a little bit more attentive on playing, but it also can make you really solo-centric. And if you become too solo-centric when you go back to group play, it can really throw you off. So, just letting you know. 75 into Arcanus, this increases your magic recovery by 14%, and then 43 into Tenacity, increasing your magic return on heavy attacks by 10%. There's a reason why we have why we go for a higher magic recovery, and I'll talk about that. Or I've talked about that a lot of times and how recovery works. So we have 56 in the Shadow Ward to reduce our block cost by 20%. Like I said, saving your stamina basically. Tumbling 10% with 23 points, and then 4 into Befoul. You don't really need to do anything with these 4 points, so I just throw them into Befoul pretty much. You're not going to be focusing too much on it. Moving to the middle tree here, or the final tree, we have 43 into Bless. This increases our healing done by 10%. It's a really good thing to have this. I'm just going to say that because you do want that greater healing done, because you are using an ability that heals you. And so having that greater healing done is pretty good. Moving on to Elfborn, we have 40 points in Elfborn. This increases our damage and healing of your critical strikes. So your critical damage, your critical healing by 16%. We have 43 in the Elemental Expert. This gives us 10% increased shock damage. We are mostly using shock damage. So over here we have 35 in a Staff Expert, giving us 20% to our light and heavy attacks, 56 into Master at Arms, increasing our heavy attack damage, or our direct damage by 20%, sorry, direct damage. And then we have 23 into Thaumaturge, increasing our damage over time by 23%. Now, I do want to say this. You can take this down to 23 to give you 10%, and you can take the remaining points and dump it into Spell Erosion or Shattering Blows. It's really up to you. So, and that's it for the champion points. I am near a boss, and it's one of my favorite bosses to mess with in Shadowfen Swamp. So, this is going to be the boss we're going to encounter. So, with this build, you want to keep up... Oops. I guess I need to go over the skills, don't I? So going over the skills on the main bar, we have Crushing Shock. This will interrupt enemies, set them off balance, and stun them for 3 seconds. It also does a decent amount of damage, and since we are using the Asylum Staff, we can also proc Burning Concussed and other things after using this 3 times. Next, we have Endless Fury. This is a really good execute, but it also restores Magicka if you kill an enemy, and it restores a lot. So it's a really good resource management skill. Next, we have Elemental Drain. This is for resource management as well, because you don't have a really high magic recovery. You need this to kind of bring in the extra. So next, we're using Hardened Ward. Now, the reason I chose Hardened Ward is it's a very powerful damage shield, and it's 33% stronger for you. So your own damage globe absorbs 33% more. Now, if you have a pet, this will apply to both you and your pet, but we don't use it. We only use 1 pet with this, and I'll get to that in a second. Next, we run Inner Light for max Magicka and increased spell critical. We do not run Power Pots, by the way. We run Tri-Stat Pots. You can run Power Pots if you want, but Tri-Stat Pots just help a lot more. And then finally, on the bar here is the Greater Storm Atronach. Now, the reason I choose the Greater Storm Atronach is, and one, it does a decent amount of damage. It's got more health and greater resistances, so it won't die as quickly as the other one. Now, this is also a synergy, and it can grant an ally in the Antronic Major Breach, Major Berserk, increasing their damage done by 25% for 8 seconds. So you can cast this, let it run its course of 20, like say get it down, let it get down to like 26 so seconds, and have somebody synergize off it. It'll give them Major Berserk for 8 seconds, or yeah. So it's a really good synergy. And then onto the back bar here, we are running Elemental or Blockade of Storms. This does a lot of good damage. It lasts for 8 seconds. It also can set enemies off balance. Liquid Lightning, great damage over time ability, and it's also a synergy. Next we have Power Surge. This is where you get your major sorcery from, and it lasts for 33 seconds. But anytime that you do critical damage, you heal yourself. So you want to keep this up and this next one up all the time. Now, Boundless Storms is a magic buff to you. It increases or gives you major ward, major resolve, increasing physical and spell resistance by 5,280. But it also does shock damage every second for 23 seconds. On top of that, activating this grants you Major Expedition for a brief period, increasing your movement speed by 30% for 7.5 seconds. We're not worried about the movement speed. We are worried about the other stuff, though. So let me go ahead and show you guys. Oh, and finally, but not least, Inner Light for the crit and the spell damage, or Max Magicka, and then finally, Light Eye of the Lightning. This is a great ultimate. You won't be using this as much as you will this. So I'm just going to point that out right off the bat. So basically, you want to start with Boundless Storms, Crit Surge, go in, drop your Wall of Elements, drop your Liquid Lightning, switch bars, apply the debuff to them, use Crushing Shock when you can, Harden Ward if you need a bubble, and try not to use that one thing, use the, blah, blah, blah. Don't try to use the, Execute too often. And try to stay up as close as you can to the boss, because see how quickly you heal up? You keep your health pool up. And you can pretty much just stand on top of her because you got a lot of damage, so. And there you go, the boss is dead. The Wicked Witch is dead. So, as you can see, the build works out really well. You have to be mobile, though, to really play a lot of solo builds. You have to be able to dodge roll. Like I said, you got to be able to know when to block, when to bash, when to, when to do all that stuff. Otherwise, it's just kind of a fail build. So, but this build is really self-sustaining. It's really good, really good management of its own resources, everything like that, because of the way it works. But as you guys saw, it didn't do too bad over there. When it comes to dungeon play, don't be afraid of taking hits, because this thing will just heal really fast. So, but yeah, so that is the Stormbringer. That is the solo Sorc Magicka build, and I just want to kind of share it with you guys. So if you guys have any other suggestions for solo builds you'd like to see, please feel free to ask, and I'll see what I can put together. I do plan on releasing more solo builds and stuff for other, you know, like stamina versions, that kind of thing, if you want. And just ask me, say, hey, well, this is the kind of weapon type I like to use, this is the kind of gear, you know, like, or not gear, but this is the kind of weapons I want to use. This is the class, this is the race, can you give me an idea? And I'll see what I can come up with. Usually I can make a solo build pretty easily, so, because I spend a lot of time soloing anyway, so yeah. But that's pretty much it. So if you guys like this build, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more videos by me, or just want to subscribe to see other videos by me, you can hit that subscribe button. Other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and this guy might see you in game. Bye.